Hello, 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 hello. I am Grandmaster Dennis Boros. You see so many stripes on my face, it bothers even me. No more stripes. No more stripes on the face. Dennis, that's me. Hello, this is the Chess Sweep channel, and you came in the right time, at the right hour, at the right second, because challenges are more than and even more appreciated and welcome in this whole universe that we're in right now. However, as you might have noticed in the title, there will be a Fischer lecture. That's something not to sneeze at. So, if you want to, feel free to challenge. We will decide if these challenges keep coming in. We're going to do the challenges first and then the lecture. It depends on the order. Depends on you, dear viewer. Always, always on the viewer. By the way, how are you guys doing? It says, okay, let me fix that. Must be something off with that one. Let me fixy. I don't understand why it says so. Alright, it should be goodios. It should be working. Alright. It does? Does it work for you people? Does it work? Yeah? Good. Alright. Good luck. Although it did specify 3 plus 0, but 5 is fine. Let's just go C5. Okay, have fun. I'm going to go Sicilian. Well, if we're in a Fischer mood anyways, it makes sense to do some Sicilian business. Go here. Good old Sicilian business. F6. Queen A5. Pinning it. Pressing. And taking the pawn. Yes, white did defend that pawn, however, just many guys attacking that C3 knights. That can be an issue. Often is. There, I could take, but that feels kind of clumsy. But knight takes is not clumsy. That's what I'll take. Knight takes C3. Less clumsy, happier I get. Life is better when you're not clumsy. Yes? Yeah. So here it was mandatory to go bishop d3. Why? Because if white would face this knight takes e4 sacrifice, there's bishop takes e4. And even though at the moment there's a disconnect between the king and rook, it is merely optical. You'd think that takes, queen takes c3, and you would lose the rook because nothing's defending the rook at the moment. However, takes, queen takes c3, there's bishop d2. Not just blocking the check, but also defending the rook. So that's why bishop d3 in this specific case is the best move, and the game goes on. And bishop e3 is just not right. It doesn't really defend it after knight e4. And there's problemitos. And those are not poco problemitos. Those are grande problemitos. And again, that's why you try to take it. La Bolera. Thank you for the follow. So, hello everyone again. If you're just tuning in, we're going to do these challenges that I'm gonna give you a beautiful little Fischer lecture, and then a surprise is coming at ya people. Also, happy Memorial Day. Drod, good luck. Right, let's play e4. Let's just get the pawns in the center and let's play f4. 3 pawns in the center. Big expansion. There, bishop d3. Just defending. And remember, Dubov lost the game against this one. Against some British guy, if I'm not wrong. c3, just bolstering the center. Now I play d5 because this knight will have to leave. And I'm happy if it has to leave. Let's go queen e1. We're going good old caveman style. e5, that's interesting. It does give me the option of taking this way. f5 is an option. de is an option. It kind of reminds me of this old saying that there's nothing tougher than a winning / better position. Because there's just so many options you have. You can only choose one. Sort of like life. You can only choose one. Or like the Highlander. There can be only one. There can be like multiple Highlanders. That would just defeat the purpose of the movie. I could go f5. I'm not feeling that. I could take there. Yeah, let's take and go f5. Just activate my bishop. In any case, you're new to this channel, just pulled up the good old information sheet for you. Bishop c4, I'm just pressing, pinning, and fg is just in general a threat. So if you're new and you're interested in chess and anime and whatever, check out the Discord. Rook e8. That is defending something. I'm not sure I was that bent on to care about. So I'm just gonna start pinning. And that's why this f5 is pretty good. It's kind of opening up the position. Threatens to take fe, fg. And in both cases, the f knight is going to get into trouble. And that means the guys are coming in. By the way, chat, what's your opinion? Who's going to dominate the tournament, the Lindoras one? Also, do you guys think that Wesley So will bounce back? Bishop d7. Oh, time. Let's take. Time is of an issue. Hikaru has been what? Okay, let's take. Sometimes the attack is stronger than the piece. And here I think this is the case. Why GMs, when they want to think a move, they look away from the board? Well, because that's the way I think human brain works. They're trying to get all the information away from their brains that has nothing to do. Whoa. Okay. I don't know why. No, I don't know why I did that. Shouldn't have. So they're trying to get rid of all the information that is not necessary. Troubadour. So that's the point. GG's Drod. Because your brain is just trying to take as much information as possible, but the chess player is trying to focus on just that board. So sometimes just looking at the board does not help him or her. And for that, they're kind of staring away in into the world just thinking about the position. So they don't get distracted by the pieces and whatever. Okay. Abject pawn, good luck. E4. Let's play here. Takes D3. I'm going to play the line that I actually played a bit earlier, so I'm sort of a predecessor to Dubov, but still, this is the Dubov Vesely game, Vesely So game. So it felt like, oh, almost blundered this bishop d2, knight b4, which is a no-no. And now you get a Philidor type of position where you have a little bit more space, because I have a pawn in the center and black doesn't. Let's just go f4, defend the bishop. There, h4. This is a typical plan of getting all these guys on the h file, even if it takes a piece sacrifice. Knight g4. Knight h3. Just defending the bishop, and I'm planning to go queen g3, queen h4 in case opponent takes. Alright, that's brave. Not saying that's unreasonable. However, this knight is sort of encaged, can't really move. I will have time to attack it, and I can go ahead, double up on the h file. There, yeah. Bishop b2, hitting the knight. Queen g3 is an idea, trapping the knight. Now, I could imagine that there could be some tricks on the h file in other cases. I can even go knight d5 and go queen c3. However, sometimes the simplest ways are the better ways. Well, second thought, not sure. I can go here. This is my original idea, but I can still go knight d5, queen c3. I'm gonna go queen g3. Knight f6. Okay, I'll take. Takes. Knight g5. Just activating. Getting my rook in. And on the file. Takes. F takes. Knight d5 is coming. Interesting position. Knight e5. Oh wait, I have a genius idea here. Nice. I think I have a genius idea. Just check. Takes, check. And just double, and it's gonna be mate. Mate 7 of back, queen h6. Ah, let's check that. That looks juicy. That looks juicy. Check. Takes, check, check here. And I'm either mating on h8 or a different square. Interesting. Takes, check. This is important. Otherwise, the king can go run away to g7. If I check with the rook, there would be king g7, rook h8. And here, just to show, GG's. Here, queen h6. Here, rook h1. Can give up the queen. But other than that, you don't have this escape route. Because then I have queen h7 checkmate. The king is boxed in. Boxed in right here. Can't run away. And if you don't play f6, your king does not have that escape square. Also note that I control this f6 square by the pawn on g5, and there's no queen f6 that could defend that square. GG, abject pawn. Thank you for the follow, Rafi. So, I'm going to show you guys some Fischer games. I really hope you guys are ready for it. Maestro, thank you for the follow. So, yeah, this was basically following my game earlier on. So I played this one. Oh, not this one, not in this order. After knight f6, knight c3. Here's the game. Here's the big predecessor. Me to that game. But anyways, here now the position is good because I do build up this attack. And now the problem is maybe I'm not mating, but then I'm winning that knight, and that's a problem. Yeah, Cowley, hello there. All right, so let us do and start the Fischer lecture, and then we'll come back to these events. We're going to have a special event after that, so fret not, that is going to return. So some of you wanted to know more about the Fischer attack, and we're going to touch upon that one. Okay, Fischer attack. Yeah. Come on, load it. Load it up, sir. Load it up. It's loaded. So, Fischer was known to be not a big fan of the French. e4, e6, but he did struggle against it. So he didn't really know what to do and decided that, hey, I have to devise my system. Troubadour, thank you for the follow. So instead of going for the d4, d5, knight c3 main line, which is the main line to this moment, this is the main variation played by Fischer, but he did lose some uncomfortable games in the main Vinaver variation. So he wasn't that keen on continuing that trend. He felt, I should play an opening that is a bit more complex and doesn't lead to that specific style of position that is so natural in the Vinaver. So whenever you play the Vinaver, there's only one issue for white. Yes, you get the bishop pair, but long term your structure is terrible. That is the reason why it was so popular in the Soviet times and the Russian players, because they get winning chances due to these doubled pawns. Fischer wanted to avoid that. So Fischer decides to go d3. This is the king's Indian attack, but I kind of feel it is just correct to call it the Fischer attack. And I think, as you might have noticed, it became quite popular. I'm going to show you a couple of games from this system, and then we're even going to have tournaments with it. So we can play a little, and as we will be already booked up on how to play it like Fischer, we'll be able to play the Fischer attack, aka King's Indian attack, because it is sort of like a reversed King's Indian. But let's get into it. Knight d2. And here Fischer is saying, hey, I am going to play like this is a King's Indian with reversed colors and not really bothering what black does. Also note, this bishop is still not able to get out ever. It's kind of stuck on c8. Knight f6, bishop g2, bishop e7, knight f3, castle. Now this is not the only way to play. There's also possible to go and transpose to Sicilians and then go g6, bishop g7, and kind of mix two systems. Normally this is not an ideal setup. However, here this makes sense for black. Why? Because this bishop will become a superpower on the long diagonal. But we're going to take a look at that one as well. Is it ever possible to go f4? I think so, yes. But as you mentioned, that's very interesting that you're pointing this out, and I'm going to mention you there. Kaoli suggests 3f4, which is a very interesting idea. They often play this in these King's Indian structures reversed, but I've never seen this playing with the white color ever. So you get full credit for this suggestion. You might play it with knight f3, bishop e2, or g3, bishop g2. For some reason or another, they just don't play f4 here. And I can't really pinpoint you why. There's no queen h4 check because g3. You want to fianchetto anyways. This might look weird, but just g3, bishop g2, and white is more than fine. So this is an interesting idea. Blackburn, hello there. So instead, d5 is played, knight d2, g3, knight f6, bishop g2, bishop e7, and this is the mainline position. And here, I do have to stop for a second. Are you guys familiar with the King's Indian? And the tendencies of the King's Indian, that is. Hello people, just joining. Any fans of the King's Indian and the King's Indian attack? Handra saying it's really hard to win these kind of positions with white. Look, that's kind of the other thing about chess. You never know till you try. And I mean, if it didn't work, then it didn't work. Like, what to do? But now we're going to try to delve deep and understand what's going on. So that's why we're here, Andrea Lok. Seems solid, okay? You like playing against the kid as white. Okay, so what is the King's Indian about? What is black trying to achieve? Kingside attack, yes. So conversely, in this position, Fischer is going for the kingside attack. But a kingside attack in the King's Indian is not that easy without a critical outpost. Can you guys guess where we will have that critical outpost? Hello, Limit Twitch. Nope. So it is e5. Wow. Grandmaster Gauri with the hot takes. Shout out to the Grandmaster. Thank you for the 100 cheers. Check him out. He is probably the best singer of the chess streamers ever. Also, He is a huge fan of Siege Knight. So, if you like any of those people or just singing, check out Grandmaster Gauri. So e5 is an important outpost. How do you get it? You push that pawn right there. Rook e1, e5. Well, if you want to redeem my hat limit Twitch with channel points, that's fine with me. So Queen e2 is also an idea, but it's not a unique thing. Both of them are just preparing e5. However, if you play c3, and I don't recommend playing c3 in these type of positions because the d3 pawn will become weak. Rafi, go ahead, ask away, and I can try to give you an example, although I will stay on this position. So c3 is an idea, but you don't get enough time to play e5. And also, often this will become a target. So we already kind of established that e5 is the square that we want, and then we can start rolling. However, there's a downside to this e5 move, namely that there's plenty of black pieces attacking that pawn. And according to my humble mathematics, I think we're outnumbered. Right? I don't think I'm alone with that. Also, Lucas, Beetlefred, thank you for the follow. So there's 3 attacking. We need to bring an extra guy to defend e5. Now the e5 pawn's actually achieving 2 things same time. 1, it's over defended. 2, it's cutting the board half. This is the side where black is going to be playing. And this is the side white is going to be playing. It looks smaller, and it's because it is smaller. So typically, in the King's Indian, you go and storm your opponent's position. So, remembering the fact that this e5 pawn is loose, so it needs to be defended. How can white continue the attack? Rafi's asking, with the knight c6 line before e5, what's wrong with kicking the knight back to its starting square? Nothing. Rafi, you're correct. You should be attacking that knight. And they always do. Yep. Knight f1 is, and bishop f4 is a good plan. But that is mostly bolstering the e5 pawn. How can we do some damage in black's position? Because it's kind of solid. It's passive on the king side, however, pretty solid. Okay? So one of the big deals in chess, don't suggest moves, suggest ideas. And I know, you see some super grandmasters saying, hey, the computer says this move, it must be amazing. Now, chess is originally not devised to say a move, it's all about plans. So I understand you push the pawn, but why did you push the pawn? What's the point of pushing that pawn? It can make an outpost, okay? And it has a second idea. So it has a double function there. Yeah, induce weaknesses, but especially as Andralok is saying, one of the plans is to get the pawn to h6. Exactly. So b5, black is trying, as we talked about it, black is playing on this side of the board. And if he's faster here, then tough luck. What are you looking for? Are you looking for this one? Brejir? And also, hello there. h4, a5. So, Uzi Geller is trying to expand on the other side, but h4 is coming here. One of the plans, as suggested, was this knight g5, queen h5 attack, but it also plans this h5, h6 idea. What is so unique about the h5, h6 idea? Now let me show you. So knight f1, knight d4. So this is going to be a specific way of playing. But let's say b4. I go h5, bishop a6, just putting pressure. h6, g6. And you'd be asking me, if you're not familiar with the position, that, hey, we pushed up the pawn to h6, g6, and what now? What did we achieve? And this is more of the Grandmaster way of playing, that Alpha Larsen pawn is actually doing a great deal of damage. Also, hooray for the Alpha Larsen pawn. Everybody cheer with any type of emotes. That pawn deserves love. So that Alpha Larsen pawn attacks the g7 square. By itself, it's not like a awesome thing. Hey, yay, kitty kitty hiss hiss. Yes, we must celebrate that square. The reason this is a big dealio is because that queen, if it ever lands on g7, so if we would be playing Crazy House, we would be winning. So always remember this. When you're playing Crazy House or playing normal chess, you could drop a queen on g7 and be winning. I know it somehow doesn't let me do it because it's normal chess. However, grandmasters do think in abstract terms sometimes. Some of them do, okay? Some of them do. Others, they click the button and hit till the computer says it's dead equal, and they say, okay, it's draw and good game. However, I would point out that g7 will be a beautiful mate, and if we get the queen there, it's great. Also, there's a player called Jan Nepomniachtchi who also uses this abstract way of thinking. Anyways, back to the topic. So you get the pawn to h6, g6. That's not the only weakness though. Can you guys pinpoint the other weak square around the black king? And that's very important. If you do, you're almost there. You almost got it, what this position is all about. Now, squares that white can reach. The f8 square we cannot reach. Now, I know, and I will clarify, g7 potentially white can actually reach. f8 hardly. f6 square is weak, yes. So how can we get that f6 square? How can we take control of that beautiful, beautiful f6 square? So, plans, people, plans. Yes, Kauli, thank you. So you get the knight to h2, g4, and f6. And you use the f1 knight because the f3 knight is kind of busy. It's doing a counting on f3, defending this pawn on e5. So it doesn't really have the luxury to move around. Exactly. So this knight is busy. It's just not ready to go on a vacation. However, this f1 knight is still in that little house. So it's just due time to come out and party on f6. It goes knight g4, knight f6. And if you get control of that square, let's say rook b8, knight g4. I'm gonna go a4. Now I will bring my bishop to g5. I exchange of this good defender. Notice that no longer do you see, I go a few moves back, there's no longer two defenders of the f6 square. And that's very important. The less people defend the f6 square, then Fischer can do what we always wanted to do. Namely, get this queen to g7. Bishop g5, takes. And now this is defended, but only by the pony. Only by the pony. So now it is blindingly obvious what white's two next moves would be. So one of those important deals in chess is that first you solve one problem and then you worry about another problem later. So okay, yes, there's multiple ways for black to defend. However, you can't solve all of them at once. You've got to go just day by day. So here, queen f3, you don't care about pawns anymore. You can take on e5. However, takes, queen f6, and dreams do become reality. Dreams do become reality. And that's what I'm saying. Just because it doesn't work just yet to get the queen to g7, as a future plan and as a guiding light, it can help you become a better player. And then there's knight f6 check. If you take, I have knight f6. Getting rid of the only defender takes, and again it's just checkmate on g7. Again, hooray for the alpha Larsen pawn. And if you just ignore me, that's not defending, really. That is actually not a defense. Not a defense. Because takes, queen f6, and queen g7 mate. So that's kind of the point of this h4, h5, h6 maneuver. You weaken that pawn structure, and then you try to exchange off the defenders, get the queen in. That's the whole point. Anyways, this is not what happened in the game. Knight d4, bishop f4. This is again a typical move. You're over defending the e5 pawn. Rook a6, knight h2. Getting closer. Now, there's also one more thing that I didn't mention, but it's very important. Always look for tactics in the Fischer attack. So bishop takes d5 is a common theme. However, here it's not as great as you might think it is. Not bad, but it's just not the right time. Like if you take, e takes, e6, there's a very important little intermezzo, and that is bishop d6. If black would move the queen away, then this would be success, because this opens up, e takes d7, I hit that bishop and this bishop, and I'm going to win a piece. So bishop takes d5 would be good, but there's bishop d6 moving away the target on e7, and black is more or less okay. These pawns are pretty bad, but Fischer, as you know it, is an ambitious player. No more targets on e7. That's why he didn't go for this one. So he goes knight h2. His plan is either h5, h6, or knight f3, knight g5. Both are very deep and strong. However, we don't know yet. He's waiting for his opponent's move. And that's important. You don't always have to come to a conclusion that I'm going to ram my pawn up to h5, h6 in all and every cases. You can wait and see if your opponent does something that kind of piques your interest. And Uzi Geller plays rook c6, rook c1, because you've got to defend that pawn. It's not yet an Alakaine's gun, but it can go that direction. So there was a question, what if takes, here, e7? Well, you don't really panic, you just move your rook away. And in that case, I do not see a reason why black should be too worried. So knight h2, rook c6, rook c1, bishop a6. So it's time for us to look around. So let's look around in this position. Let's see if the Fischer attack will succeed, or if Fischer could come up with something very, very nice. And one of those important deals in chess, just because it didn't work a second ago, that door might have just opened up. So, it actually work. I'm gonna tell you why. Boom. Bishop takes d5. Bishop takes d5, yes, the big move. But can you tell me that bit of a difference? And that's the little difference that Fischer noticed. What's the difference between this position and like few moves ago? Well, the difference is the following. ed, e6, and the bishop is not on c8, but on a much worse square on a6. Now a6 is useful when you can create a target on d3. However, that's not going to happen with that pawn on d3 being very, very well defended. Yeah, it does uncover that threat. However, it could have worked earlier on. The big difference is that the bishop moved from c8, where it could have been somewhat dangerous or useful, and now the bishop is misplaced instead on a6, while white got this extra move, knight h2 in. Queen d8, e takes d, rook e6, queen g4, f5, queen h5, queen d7. So note that Fischer is keep hacking and attacking in this type of position. You've got to do so. Why? Because now you don't have the bishop there. Bishop d6 is also fine. Takes. But in this case, the bishop is misplaced and the knight actually wants some time. So here, white will get this extra move in of queen e5 and taking the d4 pawn, putting pressure on both of those guys. And if you go here, I have knight f3. If you take, you run into back rank checkmate. takes, and checkmate. And if you don't do that, this pawn is just going to fall. So either you do that one, or you lose the d4 pawn. And that's not a choice you want there, really. That is something that you do not want. So, there, queen takes d7, ed, rook e6, queen g4, f5. The idea of queen g4 is kind of sneakalicious. If queen takes d7, there's some ideas of taking. Actually, taking is not that good, but bishop e5 is stronger, because I have this threat on g7. And note that you can't move with your rook. Your queen is hanging. And that's a problem. You can't move it, because this is hanging. And if you just block, I can take on d4. Note that my queen is defended. So if you take, you're not losing the queen here on g4 because you can take back with the knight. That little detail actually matters a lot. And anyways, back to the game. Queen g4, f5, queen takes d7. So in this position, it's clear that we're better. However, we have to decide where are the targets in black's position. Here can we spot those targets? Yeah, lots of holes for the knight, exactly not Fischer. But Fischer did find a good way of going for some weaknesses. So where can we see those targets? Where are the weak spots in black's position? Probably that's again like a difference between a beginner and like a seasoned player. Seasoned. We're looking for targets, and then we're looking for moves. When you're just starting chess, you're looking for moves. You're happy to see moves. But moves are just tools to get to your goal. They're actually not the end goal. A move is not the end goal. The strategy is the end goal. Yep. That d4 pawn is weak. And a little bit the d5 one, although we can't reach it. So naturally the next move is knight f3. Well done. Well done. Limit twitch. Knight f3, and this is how you get to conclusions. You want to attack your opponent's pieces and go for attacks, maybe for knight g5 in the future. And then you come with the conclusion that, hey, that's when I play knight f3 and then the position's great. And it also threatens rook e6 takes rook e1. Yeah. So by no means is rook takes e6 is a bad move. However, knight f3 keeps these options open. g6, queen h6, bishop f6, rook takes e6, queen takes e6, and here comes Fischer with a bombshell. It is not a typical sacrifice, but let's try to find it. Fischer to move. The next move is beautiful. And try to elaborate if you have an idea. I'll give you a little bit time to figure it out. Again, the easiest way to find combinations is to realize where are the weaknesses in black's position. or on what squares? Okay, bishop e5. What if I take that bishop? What happens in that case? So if you go here, what if I capture you? So here, if I take rook e1, and if I go here, or if I counterattack your queen, if you take, I'll take your queen. Ooh, take the queen. If you take the queen, I take your queen. Exactly. Queen takes g7, king takes, rook takes, and because that bishop is away and is a target, white is just completely winning. Fischer is going to win the d4 pawn and just dominate. So the big move by Fischer was this bishop e5 move. An elegant solution by Fischer. Bishop e5, pinpointing the fact that your dark squares are extremely iffy. So once I get to exchange it, you no longer have control of the d4 pawn, your king is weak, and strategically you'll be just busted. I'm not saying h5 is a bad move necessarily, however, black can still hold on. Actually, bishop g7 is a possibility. However, bishop g7 does run into a beautiful idea. Now I think bishop e5, rook e1 is not too deep. It's very, very on point. In fact, bishop g7 seemingly holds for Geller, but it doesn't. It just doesn't hold. It's white to move and when. And white to move more than one move. Okay? More than one move. I want a sequence of moves. Alright? I understand the excitement, but strategy, people. Chess is about strategy. So white to move and when? Knight g5 takes, I can take on f4. So knight g5 is not the solution, Merad. Because I can take your queen, and at the end, I do hit your rook. So yeah, it's good and such, but you have a stronger move here. You have a much stronger one. Forktown. Have you ever been to Forktown? Have you ever wanted to be in Forktown? Okay, queen h7, and if I take, so takes, all right, king takes. And knight g5 check, fork, And then the whole house collapses. Everything's hanging. The g6 is hanging. So this is very nice. Always be vigilant. There's some tactics in these type of King's Indian attack slash Fischer attack positions. So h5, I assume there would be something like Queen f7. This is very dicey for Geller, but it is still playable. However, here no wonder Fischer played bishop e5, because once this bishop is gone, your dark squares is just not doing any damage. No more. Thank you for the follow, Raison. Bishop e5, rook e1. And these are those little moves that makes that super grandmaster slash world champion Fischer. Raison, okay. Hello, Baya. And there's no bishop g7 because I just take, rook e6, d4 is falling, the a6 bishop is terrible and is also falling. Something you don't want. Before the follow, so he goes f4. Rook takes e5, and yes, we're interested in attack. We are in a lecture right now, Raison, that's why we're not accepting. So rook takes e5, and because this bishop is bad, this pawn on d4 is weak, and knight g5s are coming. That's quite the reason why this attack is so strong. Take care, Limit Twitch. Beetlefred is saying, excellent advice when you said look for the targets before the actual moves. Exactly. So, here Queen g4 would run into trouble. Why didn't they play Queen g4? Because it does look a little dangerous. The knight is hanging, f takes g3. Can we even defend both of them? And again, try to go deeper. Don't suggest one move, at least suggest at least two moves. I mean within, so it should make sort of a line. Okay, go deeper, chat. I understand you see the first move. Thank you, Not Fisher. That's the way I want to see it. I want you to have a thought process about it. I'm happy that you look for it, and it's fine that you post one moves, but it's more ideal if you look for more. Hello there, Sonia Lang. How are you? Just looking at Fischer's attacking games. Fischer attack, aka the King's Indian attack. So here, the rook e7 move is the reason why Queen g4 is not as dangerous as it looks at first glance. Because there's multiple mates Black needs to avoid. Queen h5 would stop mate on h7 because the queen does defend that square. However, Queen g7 is checkmate in uno. So rook f7 is the only move, but typically whenever this king is boxed in and there's not enough defenders on the f8 square, as Not Fischer points out, rook e8 wins. Because you go here and rook takes f8 is checkmate. And that's a fine little detail. If that wasn't true, Fischer's position wouldn't be that glorious. However, it works, so Fischer attacks is breaking through. Queen d7, h5. So Fischer is one of those players who are relentless. He doesn't give up on ideas and he goes all in. So f takes g3, noticing that his bishop is far away from defense, he goes all in with h takes g6, which is again a very strong move. So we do have to ask the question, what happens if a rook takes f3? white to move and win. And that's kind of funny, and that's why the King's Indian attack / Fischer attack is so great, because it's filled with puzzles. You can play many beautiful attacking games in these positions. We're still down the piece. There could be problems. Rook check, I'll just take that rook. So if you take on h7 here, I have king h8, and sadly all these squares are protected, so you can't take them, and you can't really take because you will get mated. And that's one of those important details. You can also get checkmated, so you've got to be precise. So as suggested by two of you, I think, rook e8, queen takes e8, and not gh, because then the king could hide, that square is protected. However, queen h7, king f8, the pawn rolls down and births another lady. Take care, limit here, and queens. Oh, queens. So rook e8 check is that typical diversion that makes this whole h takes g6 idea work. If not for that, this wouldn't really work. Rook e8, and then there's queen h7, g7, g8, queens, winning the game. So here, he faced gf, king takes f2, takes, queen g7, and rook g5. And what's funny is that this bishop on a6 is the one losing the game. It's not that black's position would be that horrible, probably still lost, but if you take, rook takes, and this long range check is the one that outdoes you. You think that you're fine, but that terrible bishop on a6 is the reason you're losing. So that is kind of the moral of the story. Bishop e5, you want to get those weaknesses out. Takes, rook e1. The point, if this doesn't work, it doesn't work. And after this, h takes is also a very nice move. And because of that guy on a6, black had to resign. So this was the first game I wanted to show. I have one more game to show in the Fischer attack / King's Indian attack. And then we're going to do a good old theme tournament. So we get the practice. It's one thing that we know and have the knowledge of the opening, but it's a different thing to have the practice for it. Well, you're in luck, Marad. We're going to take a look at the second game, which is, incidentally, the same variation. Not incidental. All right. And this game is between Fischer and Pano. Not the Miagmasuran game that everybody knows, but, not Fischer saying, shouldn't black castle queenside in the King's Indian attack tends to get smoked if castle kingside? It depends. There's many ways of playing against the Fischer attack. It really depends. So this is the opening. e4, c5, knight f3, d3. Now, the previous game was from the French perspective. Ketch Han Brown, thank you for the follow. Well, I do not know why names sound familiar. It could be named after somebody, so that could be also a reason. Merad, I don't know. Thank you for showing us these positions. Yeah, you're welcome. Sure thing. Hello, Baya. Hello, Peron. How are you? So, the way and the reason why Fischer started playing d3 in these type of positions instead of playing the main line, because he played d4, d5, knight c3, just like Caruana. Fischer used to play knight c3, just like Caruana does these days. But however, he decided d3 is sort of safer, and he can go for his Fischer attacks, as he always wanted to. Now c5, knight f3, e6, and d3 is actually transposing, because it is sort of the Sicilian King's Indian attack hybrid in this case. Knight c6, g3, g6, bishop g2, bishop g7. So I mentioned earlier that d5, as we've seen in the Geller-Fischer game, is not the only way to play this position with black. There are multiple ways of playing this. However, g6 is possible when white goes with d3 systems instead of d4. And now black goes bishop g7, and these are those rare cases where e6 and g6 is acceptable and is not such a bad idea. Bishop g2, bishop g7, castle, knight e7. So if we look at this position and we wonder about this, so black put a bishop on g7. How can we play against that bishop? Bavia, sorry about that, sir. Did not intend to. How can we play against the g7 bishop? Ginger Squirrel, thank you for following. Vajatkov Force, thank you for the follow. Now, yeah, could be a plan. How would you guys prepare that? We could try to exchange it. However, it would take some time. The best way is to build a wall in front of that bishop. And that's what Fischer does. Plays rook e1. Now, again, this game is very complex often. So rook e1 is a nice little move by Fischer. He wants to play e5 oftentimes in these type of positions, just closing in the bishop. So this rook will always be useful on e1. But he doesn't necessarily want to play e5 immediately. He might want to see what plan Pano chooses. Now, don't forget, people, this bishop is a threat. You've got to defend the b2 pawn. You either have to play knight c3 and then get your guys out to exchange the bishop. Always remember, once the bishop is on g7, that pawn is going to fall. You've got to defend it. Rook e1, d6, and here comes our big plan. What's our big plan? How can we close up that bishop? Let's try to wall it up. c3. Yes, c3. As played by Fischer, very good. He's going to roll a full pawn wedge in the face of that bishop. And if that happens, then the situation will be just perfect. So c3 is played, d4 is a threat now, and if Fischer manages to close this bishop in, it is clear that he is better. Castle, d4. So on the basis of chess principles, white is better. You must be better here. Why? Well, white has 2 pawns in the center. How many does black have? Well, officially 0. There's no pawns for black. So no pawns for black, 2 pawns for white. That means that the middle game and the fight for those central squares were won. Where can you find these games? I'm going to provide the link to this study Dutch game for you after we're done with this one. So I'm going to give these games to you guys. CD, CD, D5, and here comes the big question, how to continue with white? Hitcham Brown is saying, C8 bishop looks problematic in this opening. Is that a theme? Yes. In the French, the main problem that there's that horrible bishop on C8. That's kind of the main cause of alarm for this whole opening. Obviously, E5. You do not want to allow D takes E4, because in that case, you will get an isolated pawn. You might even lose it, so you have to go rook E4. But after knight D5, it is black who's better. Because this is a target, the knight is happy, and eventually this bishop will get out as well. So E5 is a very strong move by Fischer. So if you've seen the game, please be patient. There are people who didn't, so give them a chance. E5, killing the scope of this bishop. And that's the reason white is better. White has the center. And better bishops. What else can you want? But a big question comes right here. Can we still play for an attack with a center? While we make those moves, bishop d7, knight c3, rook c8, bishop f4, still kind of over defending the e5 pawn. He doesn't go bishop e3 because it could be hit by knight f5 and the bishop is attacked. So he goes bishop f4, bolstering that square. Also, Fischer is trying to be ready for f6 breaks. If it would happen, it looks ugly, but usually that's the only source of counterplay here for black. But in that case, there could be knight e5 jumps with a better position. Oh, just on cue, Marad. That's what I'm saying. So with this takes, he will have knight e5 ideas. And that's the point. That's why he goes bishop f4. That's why he plays it this way. So knight a5, rook c1, b5, b3. Another solid little move. He's taken away the c4 square, no jumps, and ideas right there. b4, knight e2, bishop b5. And here comes the big question. How should Fischer continue? Actually, not quite yet. He still connects the rooks first, and then he's going to ask the question. And again, you can notice that Fischer doesn't really embark on any mission before those guys don't get connected. Now as these rooks are connected, he says, okay, now I'm ready for action. Yeah, Blackie is running out of moves, definitely. Well, Maxence, hello there. Hello and welcome back. Yes, but you still have to decide which door to open. Chess is like a trivia game. You've got to choose the right door. You've got to get through the right door. But it can be easier to decide if you notice which one is white's worst piece. Which is white's worst piece? The knight on e2 is terrible. This guy on e2 is bad. If you go bishop h6, you do run into knight f5s in the future. So he goes g4, taking away that important f5 square and activating the knight through g3. And again, restricting the opponent. Making sure that Pano has no counterplay. a5, knight g3. So notice how Fischer is looking for harmony and then he's going to go for the attack. Queen b6, h4, the pawn is running down the board. Knight b8, this is sort of a desperado trying to make this knight useful. Bishop h6 now. So if white manages to exchange and get the knight to g5, it's checkmate. So white is not so far away from winning. Bishop h6, knight d7, queen g5. Threatening takes, and knight h5. Rook takes, bishop takes, rook here. Because he's planning this big knight f8 move. Why is knight f8 so good? Well, in that case, there'll be no checkmate at all on h7. Takes, h5, knight g5, knight f8. And here comes Fischer's brilliancy. Yeah, that's true, Marod. It is going to be a very, very deep idea. It's white to move and win. It's not that straightforward as you guys think it is. But it is a very beautiful move. Whoa! Not Fischer, thank you for the $10 dono. Appreciate it. So at the moment we cannot quite crash through on this square. However, if you can bring some ammunition, if you go knight f5, I think I can capture you twice. I take, and I'm still yet to see where the mate is landing. Go knight f7, I take with the king. I'm wondering what's going on after that. So a good attack is when you still have pieces to attack with. And that's important. Very important. Whoa. People are getting ready. See some... Okay. Alright, so knight f7 I take. You don't have more than a check and I just walk away. Knight h7 I take. take, hide my king, and you're not mating me yet. If you go knight h5, I go queen g8, and it's all defended. Bishop e4. Why is bishop e4 so good? What if I just take that bishop? What if de? Okay, so I respect the pep talk, Kitch Han Brown, but I want to understand why is it a big deal. So if I take on e4, what's going to be the problem? What is the reason white is doing great in this position? Okay, move. What's the point? The knight is jumping to f6. Exactly. Takes knight e7, and not the fact that you can take on h7. Oh, what the heck? What happened? D takes here, knight f6, here, knight f7, checkmate. And in fact, the knights do the business by themselves. You don't even need the help of the queen. That one is quite pretty. But that's why taking on e4 is not advised. It's actually a taboo. That's why, in this position, Pano played queen e7. Checkmate and winning the queen, right, Travis? Yeah, that bishop is bad on b5. It's staring into nothingness, which is not a good deal. But bishop e4 had a goal in mind. What was the big goal? Well, if you take, I take back f takes, f takes, and you still yet to convince me why bishop e4 was so useful in this scenario. So takes. Always notice with every move the situation shifts. So the queen now is defending the h7 pawn. So if you go here, I take, and that pawn is defended. So it ain't that easy. Because if you go here, takes, you don't have a majority on the h7 square anymore, because my queen and knight are there to defend it. And that's kind of the trick. I'm going to tell you a secret. So hear me out. If you have an idea, oftentimes reversing the logic or reversing your idea might be the solution. So if you don't do it the frontal way, you can go in the reverse order. And then there's your solution. I mean, you still have to make sense of your idea. It can be a reverse one, but it still has to make sense. Exactly, I agree with Perron. If you take on g6, you do reverse something, but then I go f takes g6, and I'm not sure I see the follow-up either. So we want to sacrifice badly. Yeah? If you really want to sacrifice badly, then probably. probably there's a way we can go. Again, use reverse tactics. Knight h7, boom. So probably Fischer noticed that if I take as white on g6, f takes, and that's defended. However, what if I go reverse move order? And then knight h7 pops into mind, and this breaks through. You can take on e4 still, because knight f6, you lose the queen, and you get mated. That's not ideal. So knight h7, h takes, f takes, bishop takes, of course. Now as the knight is on h7, we can no longer station on e4. Go queen g6, I can go king h8, and your bishop is still hanging. Not quite that simple. Bishop g6. However, in this case, again, most of black's pieces are passive. That means that black really doesn't have a plan at the moment. So, as white, we need to find the winning plan. What's the winning plan for white? What if I just make a move and play knight b6? Wait, not knight b6, just bishop d7, defending the knight. I understand you are hopeful of winning my knight on c8. I'm not giving you that. So if you take on h7, the e6 pawn will be defended. Exactly. Now, Fischer is going to go knight h5, knight f6. And the position will be great. Knight g5, knight h5. So if I go here, you no longer have this idea, because that's defended. However, you have knight h5 and bishop takes h7, knight f6 is decisive. Because you can't stop from that monster from landing on that f6 square. So that's why he played knight g5, knight h5, knight f3, king g2, knight h4, king g3, knight takes g6, and the coup la grâce is knight f6 check. You're giving a check, the king has to go to f7, but now it's mate in deux, mate in two. Yep, queen h7 check, and it doesn't matter. And there, Pano resigned, because it doesn't matter that you have two extra pieces. You get mated on g8. And that's the point. You can go to e8. That square is blocked by the knight. That's why this idea by Fischer works, because now both of those pieces are defended. And squares and pieces are defended. Therefore, queen h7, queen g8 is checkmate. So two beautiful games by Bobby Fischer. And I feel we should kind of do a little theme tournament. Just so we can get a little bit of practice. Let's do it, right? Let's do it. Also, before I go, here's the link for this study. I'm going to provide you the link. Take care, Perron. All right, so arena. Create the tournament. Going to make it unrated. King's Indian attack. King's Indian attack. Could be classical, Spanish, French exchange. What? Really? This ain't gonna be here? Wow. King's pawn. King's Indian attack. Cool. We found it. All right. So let's do this. 35 minutes. Let's do 2 minutes till start. And here's the link. So we're going to have a little bit of a tourney of the King's Indian attack / Fischer attack. It should be fun. Should be fun. We get to get a little bit of a practice and learn how to play it. So I wonder, how did you guys enjoy this variation and games by Fischer? Again, there's the link. Like that, Cowley? Happy to hear that. Yeah, so if you're just joining, we've been looking at that Fischer games, how he played these positions. Well, you're going to have both colors, so it's a good practice just to feel how good it is from both sides. And you'll get a feel for the position in general. All right, so 12 seconds,
10,
you can still join.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Good luck, people.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Okay, 6. It does it this way. Okay. All right. I hoped it was like that. But okay. I'm just going to play it like it is a King's Indian attack. King knight e5, I'm gonna go c5, activate my bishop. There, takes. Takes, queen takes. Bishop takes, queen e7, just getting out of the way. Queen b2, dc. bc, I want to exchange, but I'm gonna go knight e4. Just block this pawn because that pawn will be weak. Netoyo, thank you for following. there. Okay. Bishop a8. So my opponent wanted to be tricky. Ooh, knight d3. Okay. I'm gonna go f6 and e5, just blocking in this bishop. Bishop e3. Rook d8. Just get my rook on that side of the board. Okay. c7. Playing ideally. Hello, Otis. How are you? h5, knight c5. b, b. Takes. Let's take that. Take that one. Thank you for the follow. Another one. Let's take this. g2. Let's give a check. Just ask where that king is going. There. d7. For the follow. Talmud. We've been just looking at King's Indian attack games. We're having a tournament now. Queen b6, king f7, just defend the pawn. Rook there. Bishop d6. Rook c7. Takes. There, bishop d6. f4. f5. There, king f6. Let's go g5. Just trying to create some targets. Okay. 6. There, h5. There, g4. Here, e5. There, takes. There, king g5. I think I made a mistake. g5 there. Here. h4. Knight f6. Oh man. Here. There. Takes. The heck? No! Ah! That's terrible. Yeah, that was bad. No other way. So we're supposed to play this way, but okay. We're supposed to play this direction. I'm playing this. Thank you, Brain Hacker. You're like a decent human being. The other guy just randomly played some other stuff. That was not the whole point. We're playing this system. Play just randomly something. So anyways, this is the way to play. This is the typical way of going. Okay, h4. So you're going this way, just like in those Fischer games. Knight f1, knight h2. And again, you will have bishop f4 coming. There, let's go bishop f4. This will be an issue oftentimes with that rook over there. There, h5, going for this h6 idea. As you can see, I'm not even reacting. Or not quite yet. Okay, b4. Let's just go knight h2 first. This is kind of a good position. There, h6, h6. I want to play h6 there. d4. Now I'm closing in the position, got the big center, and I'm just going to do the plan that I've been showing so far. Queen e3. Gonna exchange this bishop. That is the big plan. And if I manage, then it's the moment things are gonna be going good. Bishop g5, knight g4. This knight is coming to f6. There, but now I take that rook. So you can see, if you follow that good casual plan, that's what you do. That is what you do. You just go rook e1, h4, h5, knight h2, and then you decide if you want to attack with pieces or attack the other way. Hello, Frankel. Hello, Daredevil. How are you? Hey, Fuxia, how are you? Good to see you back. Okay, so to go this way. I do play 960 time to time, yes. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow, Daredevil. But this is still the opening phase. Just finished the long article. Now some time to relax with your stream before the rapid matches start, right? Nice. Go c5. I want to catch up a little bit. It's nothing personal, Gaga. Just want to get my roll. I want to start getting in there. Really. That's what I want. All right. Do you take opening suggestions? No, this is the Fischer attack. What are you talking about? We're in for the Fischer attack. This case. Thank you for the follow. Alright, let's go. Thank you, Frankel, for the follow. Finally! Good person. Let them out kick. Good. Knight c6. There's two ways of playing this. You can also try to play without castling. I will try to do it that way as well. It is no joke. It is no joke opening. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. Yeah, it's a King's Indian attack / Fischer attack. Tower of God. Frankel, Tower of God. Knight d7. There, and now I might have g5. This is an interesting sideline for black. So that's why oftentimes you want to withhold with e5. Yeah, it does seem like, I think it's a fun one. That's why I showed it. Point is, black is attempting to undermine the pawn. As I already pointed out in the lecture, there's many targets on e5 and many guys looking at it. He does stream, yes, he does. To answer that question, he just did video recently. Okay, knight f1. I think I have g4. Just attacking this pawn on e5. Now I have enough guys there. And knight has to leave, and then the e5 is falling. There, I'll take the pawn. Knight e5, also defending the g pawn. So if this happens, there could be problems. Bishop b7. The bishop is going to be very strong, especially as I will have that juicy little f3 square for my pieces. Knight e3, that's a nice little move. There. Okay, knight f6. Not sure if this is ideal. Is it? Yeah, that's nice. Did mess that one up. Takes. Okay, rook d8. I have to defend this. Still, I think this position for me is tenable. Bishop f4, bishop a6, just attacking. Bishop d6. Takes. Knight h5. Knight f6. h5. Yeah. That was just a normal position for both sides. Nah, I didn't lose by milliseconds. Sorry, edit push. Not this time. Alright, let's go. Let's go d3. G2 castles D2, and I'm just gonna go this direction. At H4, go E4. I'll take that bishop. Bishops still count, even in these positions. Now, every time you traditionally take with the pawn, however, knight takes E4 also makes sense. Here, I'll take this pawn. Bishop F4. My opponent didn't castle just yet, so it makes sense to put pressure. There, queen B6. Go knight A4. There's C3, hitting this queen. B4, just bothering the queen. King is still in the middle, so I want to use every occasion that I can guess. Well, that knight on the rim is coming back to bother the B7 pawn. However shocking that might seem. There, queen B6. Okay, so I'm gonna start rolling with the A pawn, sort of activating for my folk. Now I have knight B7, takes knight B5, using the fact that everything's in pin. Budapesti vagyok-e? Igen. Yeah, so B5 is coming. Takes. Well, can still take. B5 is still on the agenda. Ah, I should have played a better move. No. That was, yeah. That's why you don't rush, people. That's why you don't rush. It's not that this is the end of the world. This is still very good for white, but I had a better move. Takes. Now I had this check. Forgot to give. There, I'll take this. There. Okay, queen C1. Can I play blindfolded? I think I can. Now I have check. The king will be kind of running out of space. This square is going to be taken after queen C8. It's going to be mate. GG. GG. Merad. On first. Alright, knight F6. Again. Okay. C5. There, queen B6. That's a target. Once that bishop goes there. There. Why did I want to go there? H6, just get the bishop pair. It's going to be a target. D4. Okay, I'll take. A5. C6, pressing the D pawn. Good pressure in this position. Castles, let's castle as well. At the bishop pair, this bishop is still pretty bad on C8, however, it might improve in the future. Knight E2, I don't want to exchange queens, because I have targets, and I can go minority attacking. And I'm gonna go minority attacking. Rather, I'm gonna do it, regardless of what they want. I'm gonna do it. It's a promise. It is a promise. Queen D3. Okay, knight b4. Not only hitting the queen, but defending the b5 pawn. Pressure on these guys. Have rook c8. Pressing on both of those squares. You like it because of my however? That's kind of funny. Knight e4, but that is a knight too many. You do take one knight, but I have a knight of plenty in this case. Bishop g4, queen e4. This bishop is not ideal there, because now my queen is taking control of the position. Let's go queen d5, so I can go bishop c6 in the near future. If that happens, hooray is thy name. Hooray, hooray. No. I can't even do that. I wanted to trap it that way. And I do trap it. Okay, so let's take this pawn. Thank you for the follow, Martin Koch. Or Koch. I guess it's more of Koch than anything. There, d8, pressing on the d4 pawn. Wait, okay, takes. There. Okay, let's go here. Check. And we're coming in for that piece sack. I will have some compensation. Rook there. Let's take the lady. Let's take the lady. I want that lady. Okay. GG's. Yeah, every move has consequences, right, chess steroid? Also, if you're new to this channel, don't forget, GG, don't forget to check out our Discord, because we have Mr. Ilya Nizhnik, Mr. Top 100, occasionally showing up and streaming, not just me. And we do some lectures as I did earlier on in this stream. And if you're interested, go check out those links provided. Thank you for the follow, Elena Onberg. So, still playing the French King's Indian attack. Going to do that. Okay. And up. Gonna go d3. Bishop g2. Gonna play in typical King's Indian attack / Fischer style. Okay, I can go knight g5, ask where this bishop is going. Okay, e4. Hello, DM no GM, how are you? DE, DE, we're going to go very strategic. This is the other critical position. Now you take away the d4 square, drop back. There, queen e2. There, a knight h4, getting the knight to f5. There, f3. Maybe, no, f3 wasn't ideal. However, now I get my knight to f5. Now I'm happy with the knight. Like that. That's an awesome knight. Check, okay. Have to be a little careful. But if I sidestep any of those dangers, this should be pretty good for me. There, okay. Let's exchange that bishop. It's being annoying. Takes. Oh, doing good myself. Just did a good old Fischer session today in this stream. Okay, rook e8. Let's go rook g1. Kind of defending. Devo e444. Thank you for the follow. In h5. Yeah, I should have played g4 earlier. However, I can still go this way. Going for the attack. That was such a good move. Oof. Shouldn't have allowed that. If I played g4 earlier, the situation is very good. Takes. However, my attack is still pretty much raging, which makes me hopeful. Thank you for the follow, Ganzir. Knight d7, g5. And now I have h5 bothering the g pawn. There, takes. And sometimes backwards moves are very strong. There's no gf because it's checkmate on h2. Okay, check. Okay, I can take. Check. H6. Oh, we both missed that this is checkmate, which is glorious. Look at that. Look at that glorious checkmate. The knight's taking away all those important squares. So nice. Just started saying, between chess save yesterday, you said in chess there's multiple good solution. That made me think a bit. Isn't there a chess game considered best play? And deviating would be suboptimal. That's a very human concept. But in fact, it turns out there are many good solutions. Thank you. GG's, people. Okay, let's go back. That is actually a very human concept. Hopefully I can squeeze in one more of those games. Yeah, big fan of this. Yay! Everybody say hooray in the chat. Yay! We're going to have this game. Oh no, I wanted e4. Okay, so castle's long. Now I have to change plans and not attack on the other side, but attack on the queen side. Knight b8. That's not ideal. It's just fork. That's the problem there. Yeah, it's possible to checkmate in many ways, yes. Here, I'll take. I want to have the bishop pair. That's very important. Even when you get a good position, make sure you have enough guys on the board. Okay. Let's go knight b3, activating this bishop, pressing. Both cases. Now that gives me the pawn and I can take that knight. That'll be just too good. Okay. Let's take. Bishop f4. Develop. See, I'm still developing even though I have a good material advantage. Knight c5. And now the king has trouble I don't even care about that lady now. It's mate. If I take away those squares, these are all blocking the view. This is just magnificent position. Yep, that is a good position right there. And again, as you say, there are many, many solutions. Who was the highest chess player I ever played? Well, it depends of what you can like. What do you mean? You mean highest on like rated or not rated? That's my question. Because those are two different things. I think. Oh, I didn't pay attention there. I played Vallejo Pons, but I also played the young Caruana. I don't know if that counts. That's again the question, if Caruana counts like that. Because they did play Caruana. Okay, a5, just weakening, and now I have a target on b2. There, rook e8. Why did I do that? I don't know. Still have some compensation because I will build a good knight over there. Let's go f5. de. It takes. Takes bishop g5, pressing that pawn. Played Kasai. I did play Kasai plenty of times. Strong positional player. There, knight e5, activating the knight. Also, look at that crosspin. I have knight d3. Both those guys are hanging. Yeah, Kasai is a good player. Takes. Can't run away from these threats. So I'm gonna go e5. Again, I'm keeping the pressure on. No reason to go back here. There, I can take on d4 first. Takes, now I take. Bishop e4. Fe, now I get the e passer. Let's start passing with the passer. I have everything defended. The back rank is not a problem. Takes, queen d4. Now I have this extra pawn and the exchange, which is ideal. Put your rook always on the second rank. I think it's Kasai. I really not trying to mess with the name. That's how I know it's said. But do prove me wrong if I'm incorrect. This is Casa Corley. We're talking about him, yes. Okay, there, but now I have g5, just kicking out that knight. Rook here. g4 is coming as well. Yeah, well done. c3, let's roll. It's never too bad to have a double of those threats. There, let's hide. Hiding my king. There, but now back rank. And it is mate. G to the G. Yay! You won. Merad, Louis, good job. Congrats. Congrats for second for Merad and third for Louis. Good job, people. Good job. Hmm. Thank you, DM no GM. So I think I'm going to show one more game from this King's Indian attack. We're going to do some more of these lecture streams. So if you're interested in that, do check us out here. But I am going to show you one of my favorite games that I played. And in fact, this game won the beauty prize. This was my game against Rishkov. Yes, it's my game against Rishkov. So there'll be some puzzle elements there. So bear with me. I'm just going to show you bits of that one. There, Fischer attack. Let's add that chapter. So I'm not going to show the whole game, but I'm going to go through a few points and to the tactical one. Probably gonna revisit this at some later moment. As you manage ups and downs, you realize that it's part of the game. So I did play d3 against Rishkov. Rook e1, queen c7, queen e2. As I told you before, in these King's Indian attack positions, you don't always want e5 too early. So that's why I played queen e2 first, making sure that there's no funny business. Just like I did in one of those rapid games, you don't have to play e5 early on. You can go queen e2 first. Anyways, this is what happened. e5, h4. And in the games like what we saw, I go h5, h6, going this attacking direction. But that's not the only idea in the position. Should be 7, knight d2, knight g4. Now knight g4 is preparing some ideas on h6. Let's say if black plays a5, h5, h6, you do consider sacrificing on h6, bishop h6, and with the queen coming in quickly through g4 and g7, this can become a big problem for black. So my opponent didn't want to play h6, decided to play rook c8 instead. But now I realized something. I realized that my opponent has left some weak spots in his king side. So this is the moment I'm opening it up just a little bit for my question to you, dear viewer. Where would you put your knight? On f3? And also, where are those juicy pawn weaknesses that we would want to attack? It's on f7 and h7, exactly. So, noting that f7 and h7 is a potential target, I played knight g5. Opponent played h6, so white to move and win. And probably this is one of my favorite games, and not just mine. This one actually won the beauty prize at this event. It's a sad thing that beauty prize is no longer part of chess tournaments, but at that time, or at that event, that was still a thing. It's white to move and crash through. Yeah, so the two main options are listed by chat here, here. You've got to decide which one, and you've got to decide why. Now you wouldn't want to go to h7 because there's no pawn. Note that both of these knight sacrifices get something in return. You always want to get something or an attack. Okay, Ninja Monkey's saying do both. All right. So the first question comes up. Does it matter which way you do it? Does it matter also? Is there a reason to pay attention to it? Yes, there is. There is a reason. There's always a reason. So Ninja Monkey is saying you get queen check after f7, so maybe to open up first before check. Okay. Knight h6 comes with a check, says Findle. That is a true statement. I like f7 as it opens up the bishop. So what is the end goal of these sacrifices generally? And if it's involving your opponent's king? Checkmate. You want to checkmate. So is it better to expose that king or not? That is my big question. Well, your knight is still hanging, so queen f3, you would just lose the knight. And that would be sort of like a passive sacrifice, not ideal. To open up for checks, yes, Helena Onberg, good point, very good point. So keeping that in mind, now which sacrifice would you do? Which one exposes the king more? Knight f7 or knight h6? Also, don't underestimate Black's defenses. Yes, Black lost this game, but it's not like the position is without any hidden resources. Chesteroid has a good point. Knight h6, he could try to run via f8. So I took on f7. Yay! Knight takes f7. Why? Because if I take here, gh takes, Black does not have to take on f7. This is not checkers, my people. This is chess. There's bishop f8, and if you take, Black gets 2 pieces for the rook, and after bishop g7, you're not going to checkmate anybody anytime soon. So knight f7. Why is this good? Because it gets the king in the middle. King takes f7. Here comes shot number 2. Yep, Proxen, exactly. Boom. Second knight sacrifice. Hello there. Knight takes. And if gh, then there's a simple solution. It's queen h5. Here, here, here. And I'm going to start taking stuff. Take this guy on d5. And this is not an ugly checkmate, if you ask me. Pretty nice. Queen h5, king g8. So the big question, how to react after king e8, and this was played in the game. Thank you for the follow. Binary. How that's a beautiful checkmate, right? So let's start chasing that king. Go queen g4, I can still go bishop f8 and hold the fort. So you should be very aggressive. Should be very aggressive. If you take on d5, I just take back with the rook, and the king has a hiding square on d8 and d7 as well. Well, you can't give up all those knights. You can't give them up all. Well, the first move is queen h5 check. That is correcto. Queen h5 check, king d7. And here comes the finishing touch. Here comes the finishing touch. Boom. And what makes this beautiful is after g takes h6, what is the big idea? Okay. Bishop takes e6. King takes e6. Check. King d7. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue. e6 and bishop f4 check. And after e6, my opponent resigned because the king will be checkmated in the middle of the board. Or loses the queen. You either lose the queen this way and you're lost. You play king d5 and queen e4. Checkmate. By the way, here's the link for this. I saw most of it. Yes, I did see most of this. So that was my famous double sacrifice. All right, people. Really hope you guys enjoyed being here. Now we are going to do a little bit of a raid as the tournament is starting in Hikaru's tournament right there. So I really hope you had fun. I hope you learned a bit of Fischer attacks. I hope it was educational, something that you enjoyed. And with that, I really hope that you guys are going to have a good day or night wherever you are. Okay, with that, bye-bye.